And now we'll go back to 6.2. I'll thank in advance all of the candidates for appointment of the 2025 Charter Review Committee who are already here, but most of you are our regular audience anyway, so I thought we'd get everyone else out of the way first. Are we planning to all be on this committee, or are we looking to select a representative of one of us for this committee, or none of us for this committee?
I guess my thought would be a representative, but I am not locked into anything.
Okay. That is my thought as well. If I were to be the select board member appointed, I would make sure that everyone on the board was able to provide me with a list of the items that they'd like addressed ahead of time, and make sure that everything is fully considered in these charter review committee meetings. And I would hope that if it was someone else, that they would take that same stance to make sure that even if we're not in full agreement on these issues going into it, that at least everything is considered. And I would go further to say that I think there was a lot of time and effort put on in this committee to begin with, and that on balance we're in a very good spot with it, and it served us well. I think there's definitely some tweaks to be made, but personally I don't feel like there should be any broad sweeping changes, at least at this point. So that would be my opening position. So take that as well. So,
but I just think we don't want to overwhelm this committee. The committee is going to have public hearings and make some recommendations back to us about what should be put before the town meeting. That said, clearly there's interest from all of us. And if we are going to have a representative, I would, I guess, nominate our chairman, Mr. Kelly, to be our representative into the Charter Committee. If you're waiting for a nomination, I'll nominate Mr. Kelly to represent us on the board, on the Charter Committee.
I'll second that.
You will?
I will.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So with that, I will invite in alphabetical order, Mr. Steve Albert.
I'm Steve Albert. I live at 1 Oak Ridge Drive. I've been a Plainville town resident and taxpayer for 32 years. I've raised in the process of raising 6 children in the town. I think the charter is the most important piece of paper that we deal with on an ongoing basis in the town. It's the Constitution, if you will. I think the periodic review is crucially important. I think the work that will be done in the committee is crucially important to our future as a town and as a community. I've seen good times and bad times in Plainville. And I've seen the way we crawl out of the bad times. And the charter guides us along that path. And I think the results of the last few years in Plainville, where we've come from and where we are today, a lot of that has to do with the choices that were made 10 years ago when the charter was originally adopted. So I would try to be a guiding hand on that. I try to provide a little bit of history as a resident and taxpayer, try to keep people on path, on task, to review it, see its strengths, to strengthen the areas that need support, and to be a voice of reason, I guess. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And sometimes when we have situations like we have now, that opportunity, excuse me, that opportunity can raise its head. And I think someone with a level head, someone with a sense of the history of the town, would be very important. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite up Carol Lurch.
One of the key things as I read through the current charter is the order that you place things in shows the importance of your focus as you go through the charter. One of my backgrounds as an educator was giving difficult information to students. I was a math professor, and the students had enough enough difficulties with the subject that my role was to make sure that they could understand it. So taking something that's complicated, there's a lot of legalese in that document, which I'm sure has to stay there, but we could boil some of that down. I also, as chair of the Master Plan Committee, that hopefully we are coming to a close shortly, could bring that information both from the surveys and from the plan for the next 10 years for the town of Plainville. And that would be a key resource that I would be able to bring in.
Would anyone like to make a motion for
I will make a motion that we appoint Steve Albert to the Charter Committee.
We have a motion and a second for Steve Albert. All those in favor? Aye. Based on everything that I heard, and in particular, her work on the master plan committee, I would like to nominate Carol Lurch to the committee personally. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.